Sports talk on a Thursday afternoon. I don't like the sport of baseball after today's 2.5-hour event between the Royals and Blue Jays. Never thought it was a good sport. Still don't.
Listen,
Yuck.
one positive to the pitch clock, I think, for Royals fans is that you don't have to spend as long watching your team lose.
Here's the best part of today's game. It's over. Oh, my God. This is tough, man. It's...
You know,
tough.
I remarked to my wife last night after the Royals finished losing in shutout fashion for the third time in their first 6 games.
Mm-hmm.
I said, man, I'm glad I don't have to talk about that one tomorrow. I'll have a different game that I have to talk about tomorrow after it's done. But it can't be worse than that one. And then for 8 innings, it pretty much was.
Never say it can't get worse.
Buddy Bell tried to warn us.
Oh, God, it can. We will talk about this loss for the Royals. Last night's loss, too. A lot of losing. We'll get to it here in just a moment as we open up this shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk. Also this hour, we will find our weekly champion in What Is Wrong With You. No show tomorrow because of Royals baseball. So we will get to our weekly championship today. And also later this hour, we will talk to CJ Moore from The Athletic for our Big 12 basketball breakdown, our final one of the year, recapping the Final Four national championship, talking some portal and more. That's all coming up here over the course of the next hour. We've also got our 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll talk some Masters, what's going on at Augusta. Tony Finau, where he be now? Is he playing?
Yeah, Tony Finau's there. Last I checked, he was 1 over, but haven't looked at the leaderboard in a bit.
Not awful. Not terrible. Gary Woodland having a great first day. Tremendous first day.
Yeah, strong first day for G-Dub. How about a T5 as it currently sits?
Love that. Absolutely love that. So we will looking good for my Gary Woodland top 20.
Yeah, it is.
Looking very good for that. So we will talk all about Masters coming up a little bit later on as
Finau's
well.
1 under through 11. Since you asked, I felt like
not bad.
People might want an answer.
There he be now. So we will talk about that. We've got more headlines to get to. We are taking your texts and we are taking your comments on YouTube as well. Sports on 580 WIBW is the name of our YouTube channel. That's where we're streaming the show live. Would love for you to chime in there or hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. That is our text line number. The Kansas City Royals this season, Dan, do you know how many runs they've scored total with today's game?
Yeah, give me a sec.
They have played in 7 games, mind you.
16? We up to 16 runs?
They have, and I'm going to get the official count right here. They did score 3 today.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice. They are up to 17 runs.
17. I shorted them 1. That's my fault.
17 runs in 7 games. If you want to do what they do with, Olympic diving, and they take out the highest and the lowest, they take out the outliers to get you your final score. If you want the 5 middle games of Royals production this year,
8 runs.
They have 8 runs in 5 games.
Yeah, because that still includes 2 shutouts.
Yeah. Look, they are young, new staff. We knew they were going to be bad. Expectations were already low. Okay. It should not be this bad.
You know, they entered today's game, and I was watching the broadcast this afternoon, and they showed a series of statistics about the Royals offensively entering today. And so I don't know if this is true as things stand, like right here and right now, but entering today, the Royals had a hard hit ball rate that ranked number 1 in the American League. They were hitting the ball hard more often than any team in the American League, but they were sub 200, way sub 200 with runners in scoring position.
Mm-hmm.
And they had a batting average on balls in play below 200, which is almost unfathomable. Like, that's not the kind of thing. So the average, roughly, batting average on balls in play, you look across the league,
mm-hmm.
It generally fluctuates between a 280 and a 320.
Mm-hmm.
Because what batting average on balls in play does is it removes your strikeouts and also removes your home runs. So everything that a fielder can theoretically get to, what is the batting average on those balls in play? And usually shakes out to be somewhere in the range of 280 to 320 on a league-wide basis. Some players might have a higher batting average on balls in play than others. a lot of times that's the kind of thing you just chalk up to luck and figure the luck is going to even out at some point. So I saw those stats and I thought to myself, man, 1-5 is rough, but there's some underlying data here that suggests they're just extremely unlucky. And I kind of still feel that way. But at the end of the day, 1-6, you are what your record says you are. And you got to find a way to win games. If you're Jordan Lyles, who you just submitted, Jordan Lyles did, your first career start with 9 or more strikeouts and no walks.
Hey, that's great.
Really good, especially if you're striking out 9 guys in 5 2/3, especially for a guy, Jordan Lyles. We talked about this yesterday. Not traditionally a big strikeout pitcher. That was not really his game. He also gave up 2 Titanic home runs.
The one he gave up to Vladdy Jr. was, what was that? Like middle.
Wasn't really a competitive pitch,
no.
I would say.
In pro wrestling, there's a move called the flying nothing. It's when a guy jumps off the top turnbuckle, but it's clear they're not actually doing a move. He's just going to take a kick to the face or a stunner off the top rope or whatever. They call it the flying nothing. That's what that pitch was. That was Shawn Michaels on the top rope, and instead of delivering the elbow drop and gets punched in the face. That's what that pitch was.
The flying nothing. That's really good. So again, it's like a step forward and a lot of steps back. And the end result is, it's not really pleasant to watch right now. We have a texter from the 785 asked what's more painful to watch, the Royals or Tiger Woods walking.
Oof. That's tough.
That's tough.
The Royals, as we talked about the other day, they went in the one win they had in this series, 6 of 16 with runners in scoring position, which is good. That's legit very good. Every other game of this series, they're a combined 2 for 18. That would make them, if you take out the one good game, 3 for 38 on the year with runners in scoring position. Wow. That's unthinkably. How do you not run into 1 or 2 more? Even with the good game, that would be what? 9 out of 54? That's 167 average? Come on. And I know part of this is just beating a dead horse territory because we know they're not good. We know they're struggling. We know what they are struggling with.
Yes, nobody expects that the Royals are going to be a contending team this year. Nobody expected that. Nobody thought that. And when you're a team that probably figures to win high 60s to low 70s in terms of your win total, you are going to have stretches where you lose 6 out of 7 games. It's just, that happens.
Yeah.
Like losing 3 out of 4 to a Toronto team that many, including yours truly, think could win the American League pennant. Like, you're going to have that. That's going to happen. The Royals have played 2 good teams out of the gate. Like, it's not like this has happened against, who are the bummy teams in the American League these days? The A's,
the Tigers,
and the Tigers. Like, if it were the A's and the Tigers pitching staffs and lineups doing this to the Royals, then you would be deeply concerned. Like, they got shut out in 6 innings of work by Kevin Gausman, who's an all-star. Like, at some to a certain level, you have to give some credit to the opponents, but the Royals aren't putting enough balls in play. 12 strikeouts today, and when they are putting balls in play, none of them are finding real estate. It's just a parade of balls, whether they're hard hit, whether they're softly hit, and more of them than not have been hard hit. Literally, like that's the verifiable stat going into today. More balls than not are hard hit balls. Like I think that's 95 miles an hour or above. That's what's defined as a hard hit ball. And they're just not finding any real estate. So I don't know if that makes it more frustrating that nothing is going right, like nothing is going right for the Royals right now. Or does it make it less frustrating because you feel like, well, this is what it looks like when nothing is going right. Well, what does it look like when something does go right? What does it look like when these Royals do catch a break? What does it look like when hits start to fall in? Because they will. They will not carry a team batting average on balls in play under 200 all season. I can promise you that as sure as I can promise you that the sun will set in the West and rise in the East. But I don't think that makes it any less appealing to watch the Royals play baseball right now. They are a tough watch.
I think for me, it's just part of it is just exhaustion. And I feel this from Royals fans when you talk about you got to rebuild again and start this all over again. You don't want to hear that. You don't want to live through that. And I totally understand it. And I think for me, it's probably just fatigue at this point. Like, oh, good. Another team that is no good. You mentioned the pitch from Jordan Lyles was a non-competitive pitch. There's been too many moments through the first 70 or 63 innings of the year that are uncompetitive.
Yeah, too much bad, and the bad has been real bad. Like Nick Pratto came up today and had an at-bat where he watched 3 fastballs on the outside corner that, like, we're not talking paint here. Like, these are strikes. And Pratto watches 3 of them and does nothing. Just does nothing. Doesn't even get the bat off his shoulder. Like, what are you looking for?
Yeah. And that's the concern. And, the funny thing about that, I'm wondering if, and I can't even say it's necessarily all because of the new staff, because Alex Zumwalt's still there.
Yeah.
That was one of the pluses of last season, is giving him a bigger role, moving him, replacing, who did they replace? I cannot remember.
Terry Bradshaw.
Terry Bradshaw, thank you. Like, that was one of the positives from last year. You haven't had that when I think we have seen in other areas of this team, even in a small sample size, some positives, some influence from these new
Brian Sweeney and the new pitching staff.
The new pitching staff. Also, our pal Jesse Newell from the Kansas City Star, he's been filling in on the Royals beat this week. He has made a bunch of points on Twitter, and I think he's written about this too, about pitch framing.
Mm-hmm.
The Royals last year, Salvador Perez for years has been among the very worst in baseball at framing pitches.
Mm-hmm.
MJ Melendez was somehow worse. Worst in baseball, worst. Jesse's been doing these side-by-side videos and comparisons that, hey, look at this fastball from Zach Greinke a year ago and what Salvi did with the glove. Look at this almost exact same pitch this year. Fastball from Greinke, Salvi behind the plate. Look at the way he framed it and got a strikeout out of a pitch that was borderline. Think, damn, we're seeing that instantly. Those are instant results for a guy who has never been able to do that. And the Rays, you think of them as kind of the, not cutting corners, but what are the edges? What are the little things where we can get an advantage? We're going to win with numbers and data more than we're even going to win with talent. Well, or we're going to find these talented guys and then churn through them constantly. We're not going to pay for the talent. You got this to work with Salvi in one off season. Like, this has worked very quickly. We've seen positive improvements from him. Same for MJ Melendez. Same with the pitching staff. We've seen immediate improvement in some area, which is why, on one hand, the optimistic side is, well, the bats will come around because they're hitting the ball hard. And like you said the other day, that is something you can control. You can control when you make contact. How hard is that contact? Is it good contact? That is a positive. On the other hand, they've won 14% of their first 7 games. Like that, they're on pace for 23 wins this season. I know I'm saying that somewhat facetiously, but at some point, as much as it is still early in the season, you'd like to say, hey, we're seeing the fruits of their labor.
Mm-hmm.
They've had 1 good offensive game and like 3 other good offensive innings through 7 games. I don't even know about concerning, because again, the expectations were low, but it is a bummer, frankly. Maybe that's just the best way to put it.
The 8th inning rally was encouraging.
Yeah.
Bobby Witt's first home run of the year, hooked one just inside the left field foul pole. Vinny drove in a run. Eddie Olivares doubled in a run. Like, that's what you want to see from the top of that order. And they had an opportunity. I mean, they had second and third, nobody out, the tying run to the plate. And Reyes grounds out. Dozier strikes out. And Nick Pratto, I believe, struck out as well.
Yes.
Hunter Dozier 0 for 3 Ks, hitting 059 to start his season. I don't know how you continue to justify it at this point. Why you give everybody a little time.
Yeah.
And you don't cut bait on anybody a weekend, but don't you start looking at somebody else to give the at-bats to other than Hunter Dozier. Hunter Dozier's had 1 good year as a pro, and it was with the Pro V1s everybody was hitting in 2019.
I know that it's not, a lot of fans think it's just, a DFA is as simple as it's like in football. You just cut a guy and that's it. It's not quite that simple in Major League Baseball.
It's not.
But it is an honest question. Like, what is the justification? And I know no one will take him, but why would anyone around Major League Baseball give up anything to get this guy? And that sucks. And I'm sure he's a fine guy, but that's going to go down as an all-time bad contract. And it's not even that expensive. But when you consider just how bad he has been, it makes you think, what's the point? Right? Like, why do you continue to give that guy at bats when it's not doing anything for you? I mean, he's the worst batter in baseball through 7 games.
Yeah.
Not a place you want to be. And you're kind of stuck with him. You know that club option's not getting picked up in 2025.
No.
But I don't know. I mean, can you get like international pool money for him? Can you get like some good catering?
I would like to see him not be a first choice option. Like, I don't think he ought to be in the first choice starting 9 at this point, unless it's maybe against a lefty where you're just loading your lineup with right-handers. Like, I don't know what the upside is continuing to play him. Look, it's all grim, and now they go to San Francisco to play a team that just hit 13 home runs in a 3-game series against the White Sox.
Yeah. They got 2 more. I saw them hit their 11th. It ran Lance Lynn out of that game. Yeah.
13 homers in 3 games. I don't think the Royals have 17 runs. Was it 13-3, or did they play a 4-game series this week? Might have been a 4-gamer.
We can check. In fact, give me just one moment here, and we'll be able to pull it up. One way or the other, it's not a great matchup for the Royals.
No.
Now, you do get Brady Singer in this series. That's a positive. You'll get to see Brady Singer. You'll get to see,
the pitchers that have shown the most intriguing improvements in their first starts. You get Keller, you get Singer, you get Bubic, all lined up this weekend in San Francisco, which is a good pitcher's park. So
it was indeed 3 games.
Okay.
Yeah, the White Sox won 1 of them, but they lost. The Giants won 12-3, lost 7-3, won 16-6. Not great. The bullpen was a little better today.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't great, but it was okay. He's going to pitch so much. He's just going to be in every other game the entire year. We're going to see so much Jose Cuas. Which, you know what? He went through a lot to get to this point.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Let him savor it.
But yeah, we're going to get a lot of Jose Cuas.
The text line begging us for any other scrap of sports news that is not the Kansas City Royals.
Man, there's not even like a lot of baseball going on. It's tough. Day baseball is tough when your team sucks and everyone's watching.
Yeah, and, I mean, we haven't had the it's not Friday, so there's no Friday news dumping going on. It's a quiet period in NFL free agency. College basketball's over.
We could talk about Chris Jones burying Tyreek Hill on Twitter.
We could.
Tyreek Hill is starting to talk some trash. He's been busy talking. It needed to be said.
Clearly, it needed to be said that he's going to not play football anymore in 2 years.
And Chris Jones told him that the only peace sign he'll be throwing up, the only deuces he'll throw up is when he's saying goodbye on his way to the bus, which is very funny.
It's also funny for a defensive lineman to say that to a wide receiver.
Especially Chris Jones and Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
I don't know if they're like friends. Maybe this is a friendly thing and they're like texting and talking about it, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're not. Really wouldn't be. If I was a Chief, I would tell the dude to just shut up. Like, will you stop, please? We broke up.
Yes.
You wanted to move on.
Stop talking about me.
You wanted to chase the dude with the face tats who sold you weed. Like, you enjoy that. That wasn't specifically about Miami, but it kind of could be about Miami. Royals will be in action again coming up tomorrow, 3:35 first pitch, pregame at 3:30. So Fulton will have you for Mic'd Up. Dan and I will not have a show tomorrow, so we will talk to you again coming up on Monday. By the way, Mark in the YouTube comments said, I wonder if Fulton's having second thoughts about how many wins he had for the Royals.
Fulton's having a lot of second thoughts.
Yeah, I feel bad for our guy, Matt Derrick. He picked 80 to 82 games this year.
They're going to have to get on a run.
Yeah, that probably is not going to happen. It's tough spot to be in. How are your boys doing today?
Just took a 1-0 lead on an RBI single by Chris Bryant.
Our Lord and Savior. I miss him. I miss him so much.
Would you like him back?
Kinda, yeah. Can I interest you in Patrick Wisdom?
Can I interest you in 6 years and $100 million or whatever it is we owe him for still not having a home run at Coors Field in his second year with the team?
Yes.
All right.
You know what? You can.
You know what? You call whoever's running the Cubs. I'll call Bill Schmidt, and we'll get something ironed out.
Who would I dump? from the Cubs. Is there like anything you want? Cubs don't really have a whole lot.
Well,
You want some really bad bullpen arms?
could always use pitching.
We got pitchers. They're not good, but we got pitchers. We can make that happen. We will hammer out a trade for Chris Bryant back to the Cubs while we get to this commercial break. When we come back, it'll be time to find our weekly champion in What Is Wrong With You. CJ Moore will also join us later on this hour on this shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk.
hell? What the hell?
Let's find our weekly winner in What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. Brendan and Dan here with you. No show tomorrow, so we'll find our weekly winner today. Our current champion for the week, they picked up the victory yesterday. A man who stole a bus. There was a dead deer inside of it. He ran away and took off all his clothes and got arrested in the nude. He was doing the most, as the kids say. We haven't had a story like that in a while where someone just completely loses their mind and does a bunch of nonsense all at the same time.
Yeah, those are classic "What Is Wrong With You" type stories where there's just so much happening.
Why did he get naked?
When you figure it out, you tell me.
There was also a dog in the bus. There was
the dog, the dead deer in the trunk. It was a whole lot going on.
You ever had venison?
Yeah.
Venison jerky, top notch. Big venison jerky.
Absolutely.
Fan. That's one of my favorite jerked meats.
We've had that exact conversation
yes,
on this show before.
Yes, I said that phrase and I thought, wait a minute, we talked about this. All right, we've got two news stories today. Why don't you go first?
All right, we're going to Newark, Delaware, where a man is facing charges after police say he tried to carjack an off-duty officer in an unmarked car. That was minutes after he tried to rip another person from the driver's seat of their car. 22-year-old Mark Tannen has been charged with 2 counts of second-degree attempted robbery. Around 9 p.m. Tuesday, Tannen, who is from Wilmington, was fought off by a driver when he attempted to forcibly remove them from their car on East Main Street. Minutes later, authorities allege Tannen opened the door of an unmarked police car and tried to forcibly remove the off-duty officer from the car. After the officer identified himself as law enforcement, Tannen fled and was chased by the officer, who eventually helped arrest Tannen with the help of other officers. Investigators say no one was hurt in either attempted carjacking, and no weapon was used during either alleged crime. I don't know if that makes it probably fewer charges, maybe not as high a felony charge if there's no weapon, but still not, second degree attempted robbery. He had to get a ride, man.
Yeah.
He had to get a car, absolutely had to get a car, and boy, he picked the wrong one.
Places to go, people to see. I get it.
I wonder what the off-duty officer said to the guy, like, sir,
would you like to know who I am?
as your luck would have it,
If you knew I was a police officer, what would you be doing right now? Yeah, that's rough. That's a tough one.
he took off and ran, making it like every episode of Law and Order. Do you notice that the new Law and Order, there's like a foot chase every episode?
I have not watched any of the new Law and Order. I just see it occasionally.
You're not missing much. It stinks.
My wife likes to watch the KSHB news in Kansas City. That's the TV channels we get. So we have that news on when we start dinner after I get home. And then usually whatever is on at 7:00 will, bleed over, and we'll have that on for 5 minutes as we finish dinner and then watch something we actually want to watch. And I say every single time, hey, it's the guy from Burn Notice. He's on this show now.
Yeah,
and then
he is.
we immediately turn it off.
Yeah, it's not real good, but I swear to God, every episode's a foot chase. They're making poor Jeffrey Donovan run every episode.
Making Jerry Orbach roll over in his grave.
Truly.
Where's Benjamin Bratt these days?
He was in Poker Face.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
That was
He's still acting.
Yeah,
Get him back.
I'm saying.
Bring him back with the Burn Notice guy. Or is the Burn Notice guy the bad one? Is he not the entertaining cop now?
The Burn Notice guy in the first season was like, it was not a very well developed character. They're not a very well developed or written character. Look, they're not like, it's never going to be Briscoe and Green again. I don't even know why they bother trying.
I would agree with that. I like that duo. I'm more of an SVU guy myself, though.
We watch them all, my wife and I. We go the full, the trifecta.
What is, okay, we're going to get off track here. What is her favorite trio of shows? Because there's the FBI's.
Yes, you've got, yes.
Like a million NCIS's.
The Dick Wolf Buffet.
Yeah.
I think.
The Chicago's.
I think the FBI's are probably at the top of her list.
Okay.
Ahead of because she's out on Chicago Fire.
Oh, okay.
She still watches Chicago Med. She watches all the medical shows she likes without me because I don't.
Yeah, I get it.
I get squeamish. But she's out on Chicago Fire. We watch Chicago PD together. She likes Med, and then the Law and Orders. Neither of us like the just OG Law and Order. We just watch it out of habit. But the FBI's generally entertain us, and we watch those. Although I'm not a huge fan of FBI International.
Yeah.
But those are, you asked her opinion, not mine.
Real quick, before we get to our second What Is Wrong With You story, I want to remind you that What Is Wrong With You is brought to you by Top City Metal Supply, who cuts the metal you need to your specifications, saving time, money, and material. Never settle when it comes to your metal. That's Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field. Our second What Is Wrong With You is going to take us down to Miami-Dade County in Florida, where a group of Florida men were arrested after a Miami-Dade police officer, or the Miami-Dade police, said that men were involved in a dairy products theft ring responsible for more than $1 million worth of stolen items. Police told WTVJ television that the 6 suspects were all employees of Island Dairy, a milk distributor that worked with MacArthur Dairy, which is a milk and dairy company. They were arrested as a result of an investigation called Operation Got Milk. The news station reported that the suspects were delivery drivers and dispatchers for Island Dairy. Since 2021, the suspects systematically pilfered more than $925,000 worth of milk, along with around $350,000 worth of crates. Those are expensive, by the way. Those milk crates, holy cow. The men would allegedly manipulate the ordering system, causing extra dairy products to be loaded onto the distribution trucks. Police said the delivery drivers would then deviate from their designed routes, meet with other individuals, and transfer the extra dairy products onto their truck. One suspect allegedly sold each gallon of milk, or each milk carton, for $10. Pricey for a black market.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
A gallon of milk for $10?
This was an organized crime, basically, where they were working in unison to steal products from a company, and obviously the person receiving those products was selling stolen goods, according to police detective Luis Sierra. Officers told WTVJ that Island Dairy conducted several investigations, eventually uncovering the irregularities and identifying the potential suspects. All these dudes are in the age range from 36 to 56.
Old enough to know better.
Absolutely old enough to know better. The Operation Got Milk trio, or sextuplets, now in jail. Who you got for today?
Man, that's a lot of stolen milk, but guy tried to carjack an off-duty police officer.
Yeah, I can't be doing that.
Also, the URL is Delaware accused of trying to carjack off-duty officer.
Maybe should have edited the URL on that one. I'm visually not great. Does that beat? I'm with you on that one, by the way. Does that beat our weekly winner? I say no.
I say no too. There's too much going on with our guy who took off his clothes while trying to flee from the cops.
As if that would make him less noticeable.
Right.
I'm flapping around out here. No one will know it's me.
Did not think it through.
That is our weekly winner for What Is Wrong With You, brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. Metal cut to order when you need it. Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field. Let's get to a break. CJ Moore joins us next on 580 Sports Talk.
Do you have heart failure?
CJ Moore covers college basketball for The Athletic. You can find him on Twitter at CJ Moore Hoops. And of course, go to theathletic.com, subscribe, and check out all of his phenomenal work covering the beautiful game of college basketball. He joins us every Thursday during the college hoops season for the Big 12 basketball breakdown. CJ, have you recovered from a thrilling NCAA tournament yet?
No, because I'm portaling and it's exhausting.
Yeah, the season never quite ends these days, huh?
No, it doesn't. I feel like a coach. Like I go right from, the Final Four and I'm exhausted and I, slept about an hour and a half before I got home. And then it's straight into the portal, which, once you catch up, 5 more kids are in it. So I'm going to be busy for at least the next couple of months.
Well, we appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk some college hoops with us today. We'll get to the portal here in just a moment because we know both of our local teams for sure will be very busy in it, along with the rest of the conference. I did want to get some final thoughts on the national championship run for UConn and this Final Four in general. I was excited for it. I know there was so much talk about, the ratings and all that. Well, good basketball is good basketball. I don't know why fans would care about TV ratings. But UConn's run, I mean, they were one of the best teams in the country all year. They had a lull in January, but they were just dominant against all of their non-Big East opponents. What is your overall final thought on just how good this UConn team was? Because unlike some of those teams, Kemba Walker got crazy hot, 2014, that was just a wild tournament. This felt like a UConn team that was pretty underrated for, honestly, way too long during this season.
Yeah, it's a really, really good team. I mean, they were I got the chance to really study them a lot over the last couple weeks of the season. I did an Andre Jackson story, and I just freaking love that guy. He's so much fun. And then, I did the film breakdown preview of the national championship. So really, really got to dig my teeth into their team and what they were. And, honestly, the only thing they were missing was like a really, really good point guard. And Tristan Newton went out, had 19 points in the national championship game. And he was pretty good, and I think he was a good fit for them. But they were about it. They were the most complete team in the country, I think. They run beautiful action. It just was kind of a modern, like how you build a modern team in college basketball. Like you find a really, really good big guy that you can stick around for a few years, and they had that. Dama Sanogo. And then you find shooting and, connectors around him. And it was, Stan Hurley did a great job of building that out. And they were a really, really, really good college basketball team. And golly, we saw that in the NCAA tournament.
I saw this pop up online the other day. I can't remember where I saw it, but it was a discussion of, where does UConn's team, where does their run stack up against the last 10 or 15 national champions? And, I was there in person in 2018. Both Dan and I were when we saw Villanova firebomb KU. And we know how good that Baylor team was. So I would put, I think, both of them above this UConn team. But, is there another modern comparison for just how well this UConn team played? Or is it simply, they're probably one of the best 3 or 4 teams that's won a national title in the last few years?
Yeah, I think they're certainly up there. I'd agree with you on the probably the Nova team and the Baylor team. I think we're probably a little bit better, but I think this team was close. Like they obviously had their struggles in January, and that has to be in consideration when you're putting them up against other teams. But I wrote this in my preview of the championship game. Like, we will look back on them and we will see the 4 seed and we'll kind of think, oh, well, they were a 4 seed that got hot and won a national championship. But for you take out that month of January and holy heck, they lost 1 game, or 2 games. They lost 2 games that, outside of January. And I think this was definitely, if you take the whole season, I think it ended up being the best team in college basketball. We don't always get the best team wins it, but I think they were.
Our guest is CJ Moore, who covers and writes about college basketball for The Athletic. You can find CJ on Twitter at CJ Moore Hoops. He joins us for our Big 12 basketball breakdown here on 580 Sports Talk. CJ, everybody wants to come up with some kind of overarching narrative coming out of every single NCAA tournament about what it takes or how you're supposed to build a winning team in the quote-unquote modern era of college basketball. It was fascinating to see that there were definitely different approaches to team building on display in Houston, what with Miami and their use of NIL to put their team together, all of the veterans that San Diego State had, I think, when the oldest team in the tournament. But at the end of the day, UConn just had better players than everybody else. I think if there was a lesson from this tournament, wasn't it just get dudes?
Yeah, absolutely. And be good on both ends of the floor. Like, Miami had a really good offense, but they didn't really guard. And San Diego State had an unbelievable defense, but, man, they couldn't score. So, UConn was really good on both ends of the floor. I do think there's something around, like, I think you can keep a really good big guy around a little longer. And then, the crazy thing about UConn was they had one of the best big guys in the country come off their bench. Like, if Donovan Cleveland comes back next year, like, he's going to be one of the best bigs in the country. And, you can almost, there are things he does much better than the starter. Like, that guy is a freaking monster. So I think they were, fortunate to have that good a player on their bench, coming off their bench. I guess, I was talking to Sam Vecini about him while we were down there, and I was like, how is it? I think he was rated like around 50th or something in his class. I was like, how the heck was that guy rated that low? But I guess he got really, really overweight during COVID, and then got in better shape once he got to UConn, or right before he got to UConn. But he's going to be like he might be a lottery pick one day. Like, that guy is really, really good. He comes off their bench. And then to, be able to have shooting and more guards come off the bench, I think was important too. Like that Joey California guy coming off, shooting almost 45% from 3, to have that guy be able to come off your bench that's pretty valuable.
Well, you mentioned portaling, and on the hunt for some dudes are a couple of teams in the Sunflower State in the Big 12. They're going to have to reload a little bit after their successful seasons. Let's start with the Kansas Jayhawks. They've lost 5 players to the portal. If you were Bill Self, where are you looking first and foremost in the transfer portal? I'm not asking for a name specifically, but what are the priorities? What do you think that Kansas most needs to add via the portal, considering what they might be bringing in recruiting-wise?
Shooting. I think big wings that can shoot are of utmost importance. Because, let's say you were starting the team tomorrow. Let's say the season started tomorrow. You've got, you're good at point guard. At least you're starting point guard. You probably need a backup. You're good at, you've got a big guy in KJ Adams, like a 4 or 5, depending on where he's going to play. And then you got potentially a starting center in Ernest Uday. But, it sounds like from kind of conversations I've had and then comments Sales made yesterday, I think he wants a scoring big guy. So I think they would be okay if they don't add a center, because I think they have, plenty of options there. But, none of those guys are back to the basket scorers. If you know how much he loves having that to use in his offense. So the 2 guys I think to watch are Hunter Dickinson from Michigan and Graham Ike from Wyoming. 2 guys I've actually watched a lot of because I've written about both of them in the past. And they're both really, really good back to the basket scorers, but a little bit limited defensively. So those are 2 guys to watch. And then, I just think that, they're going after guys like LJ Cryer who can really, really shoot it, but he can't guard. So I think, if they're able to find some guys that are 6'4" plus that can actually shoot and guard, that would be his preference.
As for Kansas State, Jerome Tang's been pretty explicit about what they're looking for in the transfer portal, veteran guards. Beyond that, obviously having to replace an All-American in point guard of the year and Marquise Noel, what would you think that it would benefit Kansas State to have on hand as they go into year 2 under Jerome Tang?
Well, obviously the biggest thing I think is going to be replacing Marquise Noel and finding a guy that, I don't know that you can find a guy that can do what he did, but find a guy that can run your team and score. I think they need scoring, because they're losing basically all of that when they lose Marquise and Keontae Johnson. So they need some dudes that can put the ball in the bucket. I think they've got some decent defenders coming back, and like role players, but they need some stars.
We're chatting with CJ Moore from The Athletic, joining us for the Big 12 breakdown here on 580 Sports Talk, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour on Thursday afternoons. You can go find CJ's phenomenal work covering college basketball at theathletic.com and, of course, on Twitter as well at CJ Moore Hoops. One player in the Big 12 who has already committed, or he has at least committed to a Big 12 school, CJ, that I wanted to ask you about, Kerr Kriisa, the point guard from Arizona, who I think has kind of developed a reputation as being annoying, maybe more than anything else on the court. And I think, he put up big numbers and was, I believe, led the Pac-12 in assists. And yet it feels to me like a lot of people still don't actually think he's really all that great. And maybe that's a reflection of the quality of the Pac-12 or something else. What do you think of his fit at West Virginia and his fit with Bob Huggins?
Well, they lose one of the best, I can't say the word. I'll just say trash talkers. How about that? I want to use the other one. They lose one of the best trash talkers, bucket getters in the country, and Eric Stevenson. Like, that dude would run his mouth and had so much swag. And Kerr isn't the scorer he is, but he can shoot it pretty well, and he's a good passer. But also, that dude would run his mouth. And I think that's what you were alluding to. And,
yeah.
He's got some swag to him. I was super surprised he left Arizona, and maybe Arizona's going to get Ryan Nembhard, and that's why maybe he knew that, and that was why he left. I don't know, but that surprised me that he was leaving. But the whispers are that he got a pretty big bag to go to West Virginia, and I think it's a good addition for West Virginia. I mean, he's a good player, proven himself in a high major league, and I think he'll be good for them. They, offensively, I think they could definitely use somebody that can, find scores and make the game easier for other guys. So I think he's not a superstar, but he's a good solid player to have.
Two final portal questions for you, CJ. Number one, is there anyone in right now who you are truly surprised has entered their name in? I think some people were shocked by Hunter Dickinson from Michigan. I don't follow Michigan basketball super closely. I don't know if that was a surprise or not. I think there's, Andrew Nembhard is a name that came out. I think that was yesterday he announced, or maybe it was even this morning. Time is a social construct.
Ryan Nembhard.
Ryan Nembhard, thank you. One of the Nembhard
yeah.
brothers. I think some people might have been surprised by that, but a lot of connections there with Tommy Lloyd in Arizona. What are a couple of names that really surprised you when you found out they were entering?
Well, LJ Dyer, I think, would be surprising to like the general fan because he's averaged around, he averaged over 15 points per game. He got a ton of shots at Baylor. Like, what are we doing here? But, there's been rumblings of him maybe transferring for a few years now, so that one didn't shock me. Jaden Bradley was kind of surprising coming out of Bama, who had a solid freshman year there. That one was a little bit surprising. He was a 5-star kid. There's others out there, but none that are just like shock you. A lot of them's coaching changes or role or, that kind of stuff. Or a lot of mid-major guys that are hoping to transfer up and go higher.
And speaking of those mid-major guys, the next portal question I had for you is, are there any guys you think might be a little bit under the radar? And I guess that's mostly to, the doofuses like us, the public that may not know about these guys. Coaches are all over it. But are there any guys who and I know you and Sam Vecini have a great running list of the transfers who are available. Anyone who you feel like is going a little bit under the radar now who could be a high major impact player?
Well, just as you guys called, I was watching the tape of, and I'm going to butcher his name. He plays a Butler. It's Simas Lucas Swiss, I think. I don't know. I could be saying it wrong. He's a 6'7" wing.
Better than we could do. I know that.
I go through these, and you watch. I watch tape over and over again of these players. And, your eyeballs about want to fall out at some point. But this dude, I was watching this tape, and I kind of perked up in my seat because he is so much fun. Just a really, really good knockdown shooter, and like super, super smart, knows how to play, has just some, just kind of has that international flair, I guess, to his game. And so I'm gonna probably watch a bunch more tape of him just because I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So there's one that I think is underrated. And then, we have number 2 on our list, and we probably have him higher than I would guess other lists have him. Tyler Perry from North Texas. He is really, really good, can really shoot it, can really score. North Texas has been good for a couple of years now. He'd be a guy that, might end up at Texas Tech to follow Grant McCasland, but I do think he's looking at other schools as well. So he's only 5'11", but man, he can score. And he's actually worked out with, I'm pretty sure he's worked with Peter Danylev, the trainer out of Lawrence from Ukraine that I did a story on earlier this year. I think he's worked with Tyler before. So he's one guy to watch where he ends up.
Interesting.
Simas Lukosius.
There you go. You were close, CJ.
Yeah, you're nailing that. See, that's why you're on radio, and I'm not.
You can go check out all of CJ Moore's great work, the features, the game stories, the running list of the best players in the transfer portal. It is all at theathletic.com. Make sure you subscribe if you have not already. You can follow CJ on Twitter as well, at CJ Moore Hoops. CJ, we really appreciate the time you've taken for us throughout the Big 12 and college basketball season. It's been a lot of fun. If you get a moment, take a little bit of a breather, but we appreciate all the hard work all the time and looking forward to seeing some of this offseason work from you too. Appreciate the time.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for always having me on. Appreciate you.
That is CJ Moore. Phenomenal stuff, as always, covering college basketball. And again, if you're not subscribed to The Athletic, you are missing out because CJ and the rest of the crew over there, absolutely fantastic. Great stuff on the portal. And some guys that I would love to see in either crimson and blue or in purple coming up in the near future. We've got to get to a break here for the national and local news. We'll lead off the 5 o'clock hour with our sports headlines here on 580 Sports Talk.
I was visiting my 75-year-old aunt the other day when
Final hour of 580 Sports Talk on a shortened Thursday edition of the show. Brendan Dworzinski, Dan Lucero here with you. If you missed the first hour, our chat about the lowly Kansas City Royals, what is wrong with you, CJ Moore, all that, head to our website. That's 580wibw.com. Hover your cursor over the podcast tab. It's right in the center of the website. And then click on 580 Sports Talk, and that's where you'll find the podcast version of the show for you to check out and listen to on demand whenever you would like. You can also, of course, go check out our YouTube live stream. You can rewind it if you missed anything. You can just jump in right now, hop into the comment section. Tell us whatever your thoughts are about whatever we're talking about on the show today. Sports on 580 WIBW is the name of our YouTube account. Go and check out the page. See if you like our video content. We hope you do. We stream the show live every single day when we're on. And give us a subscription. It's the best way to stay in touch with everything we are putting out on YouTube. We've got our 580 Sports Talk headlines here in just a moment. We've also got our Masters update from day one. Good day for G-Dub. We'll get you a look at who the leaders are, and we'll also let you know how our picks are doing for the Masters through day one, if they're trending in the right direction anyway. Too early. Is golf one of those things where you can't win the event on day one, but you can lose it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll take a look at the trends so far for our picks for the Masters. We'll, of course, get to your texts, 785-272-9429, your YouTube comments as well. Again, that's sports on 580 WIBW. A shout out from Mark, by the way. He wishes everyone a happy Easter. It's our last show before Easter.
It is.
If you are going to celebrate the good holiday, well, then blessings be to you. And if not, well, enjoy your Sunday. There's going to be golf on. Weather's hopefully going to be good. Enjoy your Sunday. All right, let's get to our 580 Sports Talk headlines. I am going to be very blunt with you. This is not the busiest sports news day of the year.
It is not.
We have had busier, but there is some stuff out there to get to. I'm going to start with this. I was joking about it earlier when we had a texter ask for any sort of information other than what the Royals were doing. Tyreek Hill's been running his mouth a little bit in typical Tyreek Hill fashion. And he continues to talk about the Chiefs and continues to talk about the game that they are going to play against each other coming up this season. I believe it's at Arrowhead, in fact.
I think that's correct.
Dolphins versus Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to be favored by 6.5 points, and they're going to cover that spread. It'll be very funny. Chris Jones has gone after him and said the only deuces he's going to be throwing up are saying goodbye on the way to the bus after the game. He also dropped this little nugget on us over the last 24 hours. He's planning to retire at the end of his current contract. Said he's got a lot of other stuff that he wants to do in his life. I believe he has invested in some sort of gaming team, if I'm not mistaken. There's tons of stuff out there. He's got a lot of money. He lives in Miami. There's all sorts of stuff that he could be doing. So I don't know exactly what those plans are, but he said that once his current deal with Miami is up, he plans to retire. Are you buying that from the former Chiefs All-Pro?
I am not.
Yeah, me neither.
I think he really likes attention. And I think
what gave you that indication?
Whoa. Probably that Andy Reid never let him talk to the media.
Yeah. No, that's actually the best way to know that.
Yes. Andy Reid never let Tyreek Hill within 100 feet of an open microphone. And ever since he left the Chiefs, we have learned why that may have been wise.
It needed to be said. Yeah, I don't really believe that. Do you think the Dolphins have any amount of buyer's remorse?
No, they got exactly what they paid for.
Yeah.
They got a top-tier wide receiver in the National Football League. They made the playoffs. He made Tua Tagovailoa better.
Yes, he did.
They got exactly what they paid for. I don't think they can have any beef, any gripe.
Not a whole lot else going on around the NFL today. A lot of teams are hosting draft prospects on their top 30 visits. Bryce Young visited with the Las Vegas Raiders today. Will Jeans is with the Colts today. Jim Irsay is in the news. He paid several $1 million to help an orca be freed.
What?
Yeah, no, that's a very real story. This is from The Guardian. A generous contribution from Jim Irsay helped alleviate the financial questions around Tokite, the oldest orca in captivity, and her path to freedom after 50 years of captivity. Jim Irsay is quoted as saying, "I know she wants to get to free waters." So Jim Irsay can speak whale. He is Dory from Finding Nemo.
If you had come to me and said, which NFL owner do you think would claim that he can talk to whales or any animals at all? I would say Jim Irsay without even blinking. Before you could finish the question, that would be my answer.
I saw someone say today that Jim Irsay shows the best and worst sides of doing lots of cocaine.
Allegedly.
Making huge donations and just caring about things.
A lot.
Awesome. This is great. Good for Takite. Also, like getting DUIs. Not very good. But yeah, Takite is held in captivity in Miami. Apparently, this whale's mother is still alive. She was forcibly taken from them as a whale pup.
Huh.
So yeah, there's your NFL news for the day. Jim Irsay is spending millions of dollars to literally free whales. And the Jets signed a former Aaron Rodgers backup quarterback.
Yes, they did.
Tim Boyle, the laser show.
I'm disappointed you took that one from me because I was going to say the Jets have acquired a Packers quarterback today, former Packer quarterback.
The Schefter tweet approach.
Yes.
Yeah. They also signed Sheldon Richardson. Was it Sheldon Richardson? They signed a defensive lineman today.
Quentin Jefferson?
Quentin Jefferson. Sheldon Richardson used to play for the Jets.
Yes.
They signed Quentin Jefferson.
Both used to play for the Seahawks. Richardson and Jefferson.
They did.
Yeah.
And he was asked during his initial media availability, why did you want to come to the Jets? Guys were always asked that. And he talked about their defense and Robert Saleh and the way they play and the talent they have. And then you look at the offense and all those guys and you add in Aaron Rodgers. The Jets have absolutely no leverage in this situation. Every single player on the Jets knows that it's already a done deal. They're publicly talking about it. Get the trade done, and we want pick number 13. Those are your NFL pieces of news and notes for today. Not the most intense day of NFL news.
Well, like you said, it's not a big headline day.
It's our final day of the week because we're off tomorrow for the Royals game. It is a very Friday kind of feeling this afternoon.
It's not a big headline day. It's not a big news day. And we have this time that we must fill with our air. So I regret to inform you that we are going to get political here.
Uh-oh.
We have governor versus mayor beef.
Yeah.
Any interest in that?
Yeah, I do.
Connecticut's governor is a gentleman named Ned Lamont.
Sounds like a nerd.
Sounds like the kind of guy who would have been the governor of a town in 1856 and also perhaps the governor on a kids' TV show where everyone is a bear. Ned Lamont, Governor Ned of Connecticut. He was in Houston over the weekend and was on hand Monday night to see the Yukon Huskies bring home the national championship. And then appeared on a radio program on radio station WPLR, assuming that is a Connecticut radio station. He was on the Chaz and AJ show.
No, it's Chaz and AJ in the morning.
Chaz and AJ in the morning on the radio. And said this, quote, after winning the semifinals, you walk around downtown Houston, which is butt ugly.
Yeah.
Not much there.
Wow.
He said butt ugly. Sylvester Turner is the mayor of Houston. Sylvester Turner also sounds like someone who would have been a mayor in 1856.
Correct.
And he responded. These remarks got back to the mayor's office in Houston.
Yes.
And he responded he did not appreciate the governor, quote, throwing shade at his city after it went through the trouble to, quote, feed you, dine you, host you, house you. And you're going to go back and talk about butt ugly? Which end was he looking from? Turner said.
Whoa.
Lamont made an apology of sorts on Thursday after being asked about his comments during an unrelated news event. He's saying we had a ball in Houston. The people there were incredibly gracious and welcoming for us. The basketball game was pretty darn good as well. And emphasized he was joking around on the radio program and said that he enjoyed Turner's response to his comments, saying, he said maybe the governor's looking at the wrong end of a beautiful horse. I guess I resemble that comment. So.
Okay, he sort of owned up to it.
So we had a little bit of beef.
Yeah.
But it appears that the beef has been squelched between the governor of Connecticut and the mayor of Houston.
I've never been to Houston. Would have loved to have gone this year, but then Arkansas happened and FAU happened.
And yeah, FAU happening.
So I can't speak to whether or not Houston is nice. I know Jake, whose wife is from the state of Texas, has said that Houston is not one of the more favorable states in the city. My parents lived there for a while. Cities in the state, yeah, excuse me. Had that backwards. My parents lived in Houston for like a year and a half, I think, 2 years maybe.
I have never been to Houston. My wife has been to Houston. She's been to a ball game at Minute Maid Park.
Really?
She says it was her favorite park that she's been to because the roof closed and the air conditioning came on.
Nice. I get it.
So I don't have any personal experiences with Houston. It is a major American city, and like every major American city, there are parts of it with cool and hip places to go that are awesome. And I bet you can have an awesome time in Houston. I bet also if you take a wrong turn, you might see some not awesome things because, again, it is a major American city
with tons of people, millions of people, and a lot going on.
Millions. Houston's huge.
Yes. The pinnacle of urban sprawl, too.
Muggy.
Yeah. Weather, hot, sticky all the time. Let's stick with college basketball. We do have some news and notes from the college basketball world.
What
on our
noise did you make there?
I had... It was kind of like a cough burp thing. I was trying to keep it in.
I thought you had like major breaking news you were trying to jump in with.
No.
I was prepared for something big.
Sometimes
this better be a huge headline, man. You made a sound like a frog escaping your esophagus.
Sometimes I really need to hold myself back from just jumping into things. And I try to do a good job of it. I'm just very exuberant sometimes, and I have things to say, and I have to work really hard to make sure I don't just blurt them out. And sometimes you get weird sounds in my throat that are unnatural and inhuman. We do have some transfer news. We do know, and we talked about this with CJ Moore a little bit last hour, Creighton point guard Ryan Nembhard is in the transfer portal. A little bit of a surprise there, but it does sound indeed like he is going to go to Arizona in all likelihood. A lot of ties there. Tommy Lloyd, who is the head coach at Arizona now, recruited his brother, Andrew, who was a transfer from Florida to Gonzaga when Tommy Lloyd was the lead assistant for Mark Few. Another player into the portal today, L. Ellis, the best player for the worst Louisville team in the history of Louisville basketball. Also one of the worst teams in the history of the ACC. Their best player, he has entered the portal. Sounds like the leader in the clubhouse by a lot is North Carolina State. One player who's been in the portal, LJ Cryer, he reportedly today, and I have to go find who sourced this, from Mark Berman of Fox 26 TV in Houston, tweeted out that LJ Cryer has told him he will take an official visit to Houston. He also has one in the works next week for Kansas State and potentially will make a third visit to KU while also entering the NBA draft. Fascinating name. I would love that shooting touch for KU. He's got ties to K-State. K-State could use some shooting as well, and K-State would give him an opportunity to play on the ball more, whereas KU, he'd have to be more of a secondary ball handler. Houston sounds like it is the top option, but KU and K-State both in the running there as well. Also, this is out, the top local ratings for the national championship. I'm sorry, this was for the entirety of the NCAA tournament. Louisville, 13.3 market share. So at all times when TVs were turned on, over 13% of the Louisville market was watching the NCAA tournament. Cincinnati second, Indianapolis third, Kansas City fourth, and Knoxville, Tennessee fifth. Do people in Kansas City ever not watch sports on TV? Every single sporting event, when they release the ratings for it, whether it's the World Series or the Super Bowl, and now the Chiefs are in the Super Bowl all the time, or big football games, big college football games, NCAA tournament, Kansas City's always in the top 5 viewership. Does Kansas City just like not go outside? Weather's nice. There's stuff to do.
They love sports.
Love
just
sports.
like the state of Ohio. 3 of the top 10 viewing areas are Ohio cities.
That's fair. That is very fair. Cincinnati's also not that far from Ohio either. Or no, Cincinnati's in Ohio. I was thinking of Louisville, Indiana.
It's very close to Ohio.
Yeah. In fact, it's even inside of Ohio.
The call is coming from inside the Ohio.
You know, I think I was thinking of when Cincinnati had to play a year's worth of basketball games in Kentucky while their arena was under construction and being renovated. They played at Northern Kentucky's arena.
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't even know what town that is in Kentucky, right across the border. But yeah, those are your college basketball pieces of news and notes for today. Transfer portal getting busy.
Yes, it is.
Where do you think Hunter Dickinson ends up?
Kentucky.
Ooh, interesting. That's an interesting pick. They've got the number 1 recruiting class in the country coming in next year, I believe.
And a coach that loves to play through a traditional big.
Loves to play through a traditional big. But you know who else does? Bill Self.
Yes.
Also has some money to throw around.
Doubling back to the governor versus mayor beef real quick, because this
Yes.
was a great question from the text line. Not phrased as a question from the 785, but it is a question. I'm wondering if Houston's mayor has more constituents than Connecticut's governor. No, actually. 3.6 million people live in Connecticut. 2.3 million live in Houston.
That's a humongous city.
Yeah, like it's close. Don't get me wrong. I was actually a little surprised to see that many people live in Connecticut.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Hartford's a real city.
Yeah, you got Hartford and New Haven.
Yeah, New Haven. Okay, would have forgotten that one. One other college basketball piece of player movement, by the way, while we're talking about that. Jaime Jaquez from UCLA officially entered the draft today.
Mm-hmm.
Not a surprise there. The Athletic currently has him as the 32nd pick. That's the second pick of the second round, which is actually a guaranteed contract at that spot. Yeah, great career at UCLA for Jaime Jaquez.
Got this story from our 580 Sports Talk headlines from the world of college sports and conferences and television deals and this fun stuff. Pete Thamel of ESPN reporting today that the timeline for the Pac-12's upcoming television deal is coming into focus, and sources have told ESPN no deal is expected for a few more months. Pac-12 CEOs are set to meet next week. Sources are telling ESPN to not expect a deal to be announced. The timeline for a Pac-12 TV deal, according to sources, is sometime later this spring or summer. That is contradictory to recent comments from league presidents, including Arizona President Bobby Robbins, who suggested the deal would be done in weeks in a recent interview, and Arizona State President Michael Crow, who told a newspaper that the league was in the final stages of contract discussions. Those timelines, per Thamel, appear too optimistic as the Pac-12 remains engaged with multiple media partners, including streaming services, which have developed a reputation for deliberate contract negotiations. The Pac-12 television deal is directly tied to the fate and future of the league, as the conference is seeking a stabilizing deal, which we have cataloged many, many times over the last handful of months here on 580 Sports Talk. But it's a step forward and two steps back with the Pac-12. Every time we talk about them, boy, things don't really look good for the Pac-12 right now. And then almost like clockwork, some university president will come out and say, actually, George is kicking ass. We're going to be just fine. We're going to add San Diego State, and we're going to explore other expansion, and we're going to get our TV deal done soon. It's going to be soon, and it's going to be a wonderful television deal. It's going to be better than the Big 12s. And then it just keeps not happening. It keeps getting walked back and walked back and walked back.
I was reading a piece from Dennis Dodd earlier this week where he spoke to someone who said, yeah, it's going to be bad for the Pac-12. They're not going to get half their games on TV, not at the current money they want, etc. And the source he spoke to said he thinks they should go, the Pac-12 should go with one of the offers that's on the table from the CW or Ion TV. And I know a lot of people made fun of that at the time. I said at the time, I thought that was a good idea. I still kind of think that's a good idea. They will be on in every single major market in the country. Every single major TV market in the country, all the top 100, possibly all of the top 200, all have a CW station. It's either a digital sub-channel, or you can get it on your cable, or you can get it with the bunny ears, whatever it might end up being. I think that makes a lot of sense. Even if you don't end up with a ton of money, guess what? You're going to be on TV. You don't need to worry about, oh, well, you're going to need to have Amazon Prime and also Apple TV Plus. And also, we're going to have to keep the Pac-12 network alive because we got to put the game somewhere. So you'll need that. And also, we'll have one game a week on ESPNU. No, that's terrible. That's bad for everyone.
Yeah, it is.
But even if you're on a less sexy channel and you might be the lead-in to, tape delayed live golf, that's still something. It's better than nothing at all.
Yeah, you're starting to build a sports portfolio at the very least, and people get used to maybe looking to your network for sports.
I think that would make a lot of sense. It's better than nothing, and they're looking down the barrel of getting nothing at this point. One final headline, business of sports world here, from our neighbors to the south, the state of Oklahoma. They are getting much closer to passing a bill that would totally, potentially, change NIL laws across the entire country. So this was written about by Jeremy Crabtree, who I know has been on both this program and on Mic'd Up before, currently writes for On3. He writes that on Monday this week, the Oklahoma House of Representatives overwhelmingly passed a bill by a vote of 84-5 that has been described as transformative for name, image, and likeness rights. Supporters of the bill say that it levels the playing field for OU, Oklahoma State, Tulsa, and other colleges when recruiting and retaining student athletes who want to capitalize off NIL rights. The Senate Bill 840 removes virtually all restrictions on who can represent athletes in NIL negotiations and allows universities to support NIL activities from third parties. It also allows schools to set parameters to prevent NIL activities from interfering with school or team activities, allows for schools to be compensated for use of logos, and allows schools to require that student athletes take financial literacy classes. Well, that is good. That's a legit good thing. Additionally, it does not require student athlete compensation to be in line with market value and does not count scholarships as compensation. The NCAA must hate this. Like, this would be a true disaster for the NCAA. Not that that makes it a bad idea in general. And I think a lot of those, in principle, are good ideas. The NCAA's got to hate that. And it sounds like it's going to pass 84-5 in an 89-person body. Pretty overwhelming in the state of Oklahoma.
Another blow struck to the NCAA's idea of amateurism and their slowness to get on the NIL train. Charlie Baker's got his work cut out for him, doesn't he?
I mean, if you're Oklahoma State basketball, we talked at the end of the year about how Mike Boynton's got to be on the hot seat because they just haven't won enough. They haven't gotten to the tournament enough.
Mm-hmm.
But they need more dudes. They need more actual talent. Caleb Boone, by the way, in the transfer portal today. Forgot to note that. One of their best players, maybe their very best. You need dudes.
Avery Anderson's also portaling.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect example. They got to get bodies in. And you're in a battle with Arkansas and Texas and Illinois to get a 6'5" small or shooting guard who can shoot. And you really need that dude. You need some scoring. Illinois' got some restrictions they've got to follow. Well, we can work you with this and this and this. Arkansas, well, they get all the transfers, but they've got things they have to work through. Schools in Texas, they got the same thing. Oklahoma State, nah, come in here. Well, school's going to give you money. We're going to have boosters give you money. Our coaches are going to just give you bags of money like they're Mr. Monopoly. You're going to be set here. We got no restrictions. It'll be nice and easy to get you in here. I imagine that's going to work and help a lot in recruiting. Oklahoma football going to be in the same situation. Tulsa might get a good player in something. Like, I imagine this would be a positive for the state of Oklahoma. And other states are going to follow. Like, if this passes in Oklahoma, you know Texas is going to follow.
Oh,
ASAP. Yeah. ASAP. Very fascinating in the world of NIL. People keep calling it the Wild Wild West. It's not, to me, because the NCAA created this. They allowed this to happen. Them fostering this environment of phony amateurism and not getting out in front of things, that created this environment. That's not the Wild Wild West. That's not a new frontier. The NCAA knew this was coming and said, yeah, you figure it out. And now they've got to beg and plead and grovel at the feet of senators to try to help us, please. Give us an antitrust exemption. No, get the hell out of my face. That does it for our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Let's get to a commercial break. When we come back, let's take a look at the Masters leaderboard here on 580 Sports Talk. our final show of the week. We're off tomorrow because the Royals have a 3:35 first pitch in the Bay Area, anyway, against San Francisco and the Giants, who are coming off a series win over the White Sox, in which they scored double figures in runs twice.
The Giants scored 16 runs today.
How many runs do the Royals have all season, Dan?
17. The Giants have hit 15 home runs in their first 6 games.
How many have the Royals hit, Dan?
I don't know. 3? Franmil's got one. Melendez has one.
Witt had one today.
Got one. Duffy's got one. 4.
That's 4.
They've got 17 runs. And the Giants have hit the ball over the fence 15 times in one fewer game.
They're playing different sports at this point.
They really are.
Yeah, not a great spot to be. So we are done with our week coming up at 6 o'clock today, but Fulton will have you for mic'd up, so you will still have some of our 580 Sports on 580 WIBW content coming up tomorrow. The Masters going on this week, day 1 of the Masters.
Somebody say the Masters?
I did say the Masters. True. Tradition. Unlike in Pimento CD.
There is no better bit in sports talk radio, nationally, regionally, anywhere, than Chris Vernon's Masters updates on his Grind City Media YouTube channel.
It's incredibly funny. He's a radio host. He does NBA podcasting for The Ringer as well. Good social media presence for the last several years. I don't know when he started doing this. 2020? Earlier than that?
I think 2019. Maybe even before that.
He started doing these very robust, exciting, loud, screaming Masters updates.
Screaming, like essentially freestyling the Masters scores and top players over the beat to Harden the Paint by Waka Flocka Flame while mascots dance in the background and he holds a golf club and wields it in a threatening manner.
And his producer, I think it is, acts as his hype man.
Does the ad libs.
Yeah.
It really can't be described unless you've seen it, and describing it makes it less funny. Like
I wish we could play it. I know we can't, but I wish we could. It's very funny.
It's the best bit on if I come up with a bit, if we come up with a bit that's anywhere near as good, I will consider myself a satisfied radio host.
Today he rhymed midlife crisis with ISIS when talking about Phil Mickelson.
Yes. He suggested that Phil Mickelson would take a check from ISIS.
It was very well done.
It was extremely well done. And also probably not far from the truth.
Probably not. Let's take a look at the leaderboard. Gary Woodland with a great start to his Masters run.
Let's start with the professional sports franchise in Topeka, Kansas. Gita bogeyed 5 to go to 1 over, but rebounded with a birdie on the par 3-6, then birdied the par 5-8 to go out in 35. Then after a bogey on 11, Gary got hot at the corner. Amen corner.
Say amen at the corner.
Birdied the par 3-12, birdied the par 5-13. Then birdied the par 5 15th and closed up shop with a birdie on the par 4 18th, going in 33 for a 4 under 68.
All right.
That right now has Gary Woodland in a tie for 6th, 3 shots back of the leaders.
Who is leading right now, Dan?
It is a 3-way tie at the top of the leaderboard. You have the number 1 player in the world, Jon Rahm, seeking his 2nd major championship in first green jacket. Victor Hovland came blistering hot out of the gate. Went, I think, out in 31, and I think he might have had. Did he get it to 8 under at one point? No, he got it to 7 under by 14 holes, and then parred in to also shoot a 65. Victor Hovland, the young Norwegian, former Oklahoma State Cowboy, seeking his first Masters and major championship. And those two are tied with Brooks Koepka.
Brooksy,
the 4-time major winner and live golf participant who also shot a 65. So you've got those 3 at the top of the leaderboard at 7 under. Cameron Young and Jason Day, both 5 under at a tie for 4th. And then a big group at 4 under. Shane Lowry, Xander Schauffele, Adam Scott, and the aforementioned Gary Woodland. Scotty Scheffler, Sam Burns, and amateur Sam Bennett, current student at Texas A&M, also plays on the golf team there. He's not just like some dude.
Just a dude.
Yeah. Sam Bennett, also 4 under. All 3 of those golfers are on 18 right now. There's a group at 3 under that includes Justin Rose and Colin Morikawa in with 69s. Tony Finau and Jordan Spieth are on 17, both 3 under for their day. Among some other notables in a group at 2 under and a tie for 17th include Justin Thomas and Cameron Smith, and also last year's U.S. Open champion Matt Fitzpatrick. Big group at 1 under, tied for 26th, include former Masters winners Dustin Johnson, Hideki Matsuyama, Patrick Reed, Phil Mickelson, and Fred Couples, who I think is like 58 years old.
My pick to win it, Patrick Cantlay in that group.
Patrick Cantlay is also 1 under as well. Rory McIlroy on 18 at even par.
One of the favorites to win. Maybe the favorite.
Maybe the favorite to win. He comes in. He's at even par right now. So too Max Homa, both of them on 18 right now. Tiger Woods grinded his way to a 2 over 74 today. If the tournament ended today, he would miss the cut. The cut line right now is +1 going into tomorrow. So Big Cat's got to turn it around. He had a rough go early in his day. He was at 3 over through 14. Back-to-back birdies on 15 and 16 got him back within 1 under, but he bogeyed 18. So Tigers at 2 over, big group there at 2 over. And beyond that, there's not many players of note. Bunch of washed up former champs lower on the leaderboard. Guys like Bubba Watson and Jose Maria Olazabal. And Sandy Lyle shot an 81 today in his final Masters. The Scotsman, former champ, he shot an 81. He's in last place. Kevin Na withdrew after 9 holes. Came in 40 and said, Nah.
I get it. Nah. Why try?
Yeah. I can see how this is going to go. I'm just going to go trunk it now. I'm going to say my stomach hurts and I'm going to get out of here. The funny part about that was that Kevin Na was the first group off the tee today, along with another former winner, Mike Weir, the left-handed Canadian. So Weir played the back 9 as a single.
That rules.
Yeah. He shot even par. Yeah, good round.
Good for him.
Even par for Mike Weir. Will Zalatoris also withdrew just before he was scheduled to tee off. Zalatoris had a terrific year last year, first PGA Tour win. He was competitive in every major last year, even if he didn't win one. And a lot of people expected he would be again, but he's had some injury issues, back issue that has flared up a bit, and he withdrew today, which was disappointing. But Scheffler's in at 4 under, so he is in that tie for 6th officially with Woodland, Scott, Schauffele, and Lowry. Bennett and Burns are still 4 under on 18. It looks like it's going to be a rip-snorting good time at Augusta if the weather cooperates, and it's not supposed to, unfortunately. But on the flip side, if it just rains and players can get out on a rainy course, that's going to mean guys can fire some flags. The long hitters will have a big advantage in wet conditions, and that will make it interesting in a different way. But my goodness, what a leaderboard. I don't think you could ask for a more fascinating group sitting in the top 10 after day 1 at Augusta.
I would like to correct something I said yesterday. I was actually wrong. Scotty Scheffler is the world's number 1 right now. Rahm has slipped to 3rd.
That's right, because Scheffler won. What did he win?
Other than the Masters?
He was third. He was top 4 at the match play. I think he won. No, he won at Phoenix. He won Phoenix again.
Oh, okay.
And did he have another win after that? Yeah, he won the Players. Duh. Jesus.
Well, there you go.
He went to number 1 because he won the friggin' Players.
Rory McIlroy currently 2nd. John Rahm 3rd in the world. Patrick Cantlay, Max Homa, the rest of your top 5.
Bad job by me.
Our picks from yesterday. Patrick Cantlay, a little back for me, but still in the mix. I had Colin Morikawa to finish top 10.
Right now, he is in with a 69, so he's T13.
Nice. And then I had G-Dub, top 20.
Looking strong.
Very lingering there, tied for 6th. My guy, Kurt Kitayama, he's not close. He's way down. That was my prop pick.
Oh, yes.
My top first-timer.
Top debutant?
Yes.
Should have gone with Adrian Meronk.
I believe it's debutant.
Yeah, probably.
But it's in the Masters, so they might change things up a little bit differently.
My pick to win was John Rahm, who's obviously tied for the lead and would be a 2-shot leader if he hadn't doubled. He 4-putted the first hole. He's out there swearing he me, and then for 17 holes, he plays 9 under par. Like, ridiculous. If he had not 4-putted on the first hole, he would have shot a 63, which I think would have been the best day 1 score in the history of the Masters. So feeling good about that. Cameron Young, top 10, feeling good about that.
Yep.
With his day 167. Hideki Matsuyama, top 20. Right now, he's just outside. He's in that big group at -1, T26. And then Brooks Koepka to be the top live golfer. That's looking strong because once you get past Brooksy, the top live golfer other than him is Cameron Smith, who's 5 shots back of Brooksy.
Not too bad for us. We
Yeah.
also, as you heard,
Golf ball knowers here.
Oh, yeah, always have been. Big golf ball guy. As you heard on Mic'd Up today with Jake and Fulton, we were doing our picks. We got a certain amount of value we could spend to draft 6 golfers, and you couldn't take too many guys who were super good value. This whole thing. They explained it earlier on. I did pretty well. Jake accused me of cheating because I got to the station late today after the event had started, and I said, dude, I guarantee you I have not watched a second of golf today. I've not checked the score. I've not done any of that. I just made good picks. Victor Hovland, or is it Hovland? Hovland. I had him on the list. I had Cantlay, Patrick Reed, my guy. Love Patrick Reed.
No, you don't.
I do. I love the idea of Patrick Reed, just this guy everyone hates. I told that to Jake yesterday. There's just unity in everyone coming together to hate this one guy. He is the Angel Pagan of the golf world, and I love him for that. He's also a dirty cheater,
Yes.
allegedly.
Stop improving your lie.
We've got to get to another break here on 580 Sports Talk.
But before we do,
there you go.
got to tell you that golf's first major is a tradition unlike any other, if you didn't know that. And now you can bet on who you think will win at Augusta on FanDuel. Right now, all customers can get bonus bets back if your Augusta winner pick doesn't win but finishes in the top 10. There's no better time to get in on the action, and the app is easy to use. There are so many different betting options, and when you win, you get paid instantly. So drive down Magnolia Lane and take a swing at betting the first major. Visit FanDuel.com/Lucero and get bonus bets back if your Augusta winner pick doesn't win but finishes in the top 10. That's FanDuel.com/Lucero, Lucero. You must be 21 and present in Kansas. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max bonus $25 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply. See full terms at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
We've got more 580 Sports Talk coming up after this. Brendan and Dan finishing up this shortened edition of 580 Sports Talk with you on this April 6th. Thank you so much for stopping by and being a part of the show today. It's the end of our week. No show tomorrow. Royals will be in action. Do the Royals get 1 of 3 this weekend from the Giants?
I hope so.
I mean, mathematically, it's hard to think they will go 1-9 through their first 10 games. The likelihood of that, very slim. It is a big weekend for Fulton. He only has one more loss he can stomach before he is eliminated from his 13 games bet with Jake. For those who hadn't heard on Mic'd Up, Fulton bet Jake that the Royals would have at least 6 wins in their first 13 games. They have won through their first 7, so they're in a little trouble right now.
Oh, Fulton.
I appreciate the Royals' optimism.
I do too. It's more fun. There's an old saying, right, that the pessimist feels everything twice. Once when they convince themselves the bad thing is going to happen, and then again when the bad thing does happen. So why not be an optimist and then only feel it once?
Counterpoint. If you're a pessimist, you're either always right or pleasantly surprised. That's a win-win too. I do think the Royals get one this weekend. I say they win Saturday when Singer takes them out.
What are the, do we have the pitching matchups? It's Singer and, no, it's Keller and Alex Wood tomorrow, I believe.
The Woodman.
Left-hander. We'll see what the Royals do with their lineup, get their right-handers in there. I don't have the probables for the Giants.
No, they do not have those up yet. It'll be Singer, we know, for the Royals on Saturday, and then Bubic for the closer, 3 o'clock on Sunday. All these games, by the way, first pitch around 3 o'clock. 3:35 tomorrow, 3:05 on both Saturday and on Sunday.
They're going to need a fifth starter, I think, at some point. Who threw for them today? Was it Cobb?
Yes.
Okay, so Wood will be making his first start, and then the other guys who have started. So I think Wood is in as the 5th starter.
Okay.
And then DeSclafani and Stripling probably behind them.
Actually, Cobb is going to go tomorrow.
Oh, it's Cobb tomorrow. It was Wood today.
Okay.
And I had the Alex 4-letter last names backwards.
One or the other of the Alexes will go tomorrow.
I can do better. I must do better. I will do better.
What else does your sports weekend look like?
We're going to watch the Masters.
Sports weekend.
We're going to watch the Masters. Excited about the Masters. Again, great looking leaderboard after day one. So I think it's going to be some awesome golf. Hopefully the golf gods, the weather gods will allow for some of that golf to actually be played and some of that rain stays away. A good friend of mine is going to be there on the grounds tomorrow.
Nice.
Actually, which is pretty cool for him. So I hope he doesn't get too wet. I mean, I'm a hater, but I still want him to have a good time.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, I'm hating on him for getting to go, and I don't get to go, but I want him to have a good time. So, yeah, we watching the Masters. We watching some baseball. It'll be, first weekend without college basketball in a long time. So that'll be different.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be gross and bad, actually. I do not like that. I do not like that one bit. I will be in St. Louis. And
Yeah,
I will be
you
at
will.
the Dome at America Center to watch my beloved St. Louis Battlehawks, where caca, as you know, is the law. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see the electric factory that is Darius Shepard, former Green Bay Packer and North Dakota State Bison member. The greatest quarterback in the XFL, A.J. McCarron, will be passing.
God.
I thought about this the other day. Do you remember the name of his sushi restaurant?
AJ McCarron had a sushi restaurant?
Yeah.
No, I don't. AJ McCalifornia roll?
Asian. AJIAN.
Like that was the whole thing. Not Asian McCarron. Like this isn't a joke. This
No,
is...
just Asian.
Oh, jeez.
I believe it's still open. Yeah, it is. It's in Tuscaloosa, in fact.
All right.
I'm looking at a picture right now. Not the most well-decorated place. Jeez. I think AJ McCarron could, go for a little bit more here. Food looks all right. I think do sushi. I haven't had sushi in a long time. So, yeah, a lot of XFL for me this weekend. And Sunday is my mom's birthday.
Hey, happy birthday to Mrs. Dworzinski.
So, yeah, happy birthday to her. I will not see her, obviously, because I do not live where she lives. But, yeah, looking forward to that. Talk to her on the phone a little bit. But, yeah, it's a pretty laid-back weekend for me. I'm not likely going to watch the Masters when I am home on Sunday. But you know what that means? I'll be watching for sports on TV. The ponies. America's Day at the races. I am ready.
They're not more XFL to watch?
No, I believe there is, but we've got multiple screens.
Yeah.
If I have a dual screen going of horse racing and XFL football, my wife is going to freak out at me. And not in a way, I'm not trying to say like she is someone who freaks out. She's really not. She's actually incredibly calm. But if she saw that, she would say, "What is wrong with you? Like, please seek help. See a professional if you are doing this." So, honey, I'm sorry, but that might be happening on Sunday afternoon. Let's get to one more quick timeout. We'll finish up our short week of 580 Sports Talk with the final word. Let's wrap up 580 Sports Talk with the final word. Sometimes the intro triggers, sometimes it doesn't. It happens. It's Friday.
It'd be like that.
It's Thursday, but it's our Friday. All right, Dan, what's your final word?
Final word for me. Look, it's grim for the Royals in the win-loss column right now. There's no way around that. There's no nice way to talk about it. It is really bad to be 1-6 already at this stage of a season, especially for a fan base that is dying to see signs of life and signs of improvement from this team. But man, the underlying offensive numbers, like the stuff you can control, hit the ball hard, hit it in the air, that's still there for the Royals. They're still doing that. They're not doing enough of it. And when they are doing it, it's not finding any clean real estate in the outfield right now or over the wall. And they're going to a pitcher's park in San Francisco against a team that's been bashing the crap out of the ball. So it may yet get worse before it gets better, but it's gonna get better, I hope.
Yeah, sure hope so. My final word for the Royals, I am trying very hard to not be too negative about the start of this season because I knew they were not going to be very good. The problem for me is that they're not hitting, or at least they're not scoring runs. I thought the pitching was going to be the bigger issue. That has not been quite as bad as I expected it to be. It's not good, but it's not quite as bad as I was expecting. The hitting, though, score a few runs, so I'm not completely losing my mind by, say, Monday's show. That does do it for us for the week. You'll have noon to 3 with Fulton for Mic'd Up tomorrow. for our Sports on 580 programming. But then the Royals play at 3:30 tomorrow with 3 o'clock pregame. So Dan and I are done for the week. Don't forget to head to our website, 580wibw.com, to check out the podcast version of the show. You can also go to YouTube, Sports on 580 WIBW, to see all of our live video streams. We'll talk to you on Monday from 3 until 6. Until then, for Dan, I'm Brendan. Appreciate you guys listening all week to 580 Sports Talk.